In this video, I will be running through my top 5 places to visit in New South Wales. If you're new here, my partner Rach and I are currently on our big lap of Australia, which is driving around the circumference of Australia. We have crossed the border from New South Wales into Victoria, and I thought it would be a really great video to share my top 5 places to visit in New South Wales. I haven't been to everywhere in New South Wales, but I did live in Sydney for 5 years and been on some awesome trips. So here are my top 5 places. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. I'll add these videos to a playlist, so if you are planning a trip to Australia or you're planning your big lap of Australia, this is the perfect video for you. Okay, so number 5 on the list is Sydney. Bit of background, Rach and I did live in Sydney for a number of years, so we have a slight advantage because we can tell you the places which you might not typically know about unless you've lived there or you know all the areas around. So to begin with, Sydney is absolutely incredible. I would highly recommend, of course, visiting Bondi, but if you are visiting Bondi, there is a 80-kilometre walk from Bondi to Manly. I'm not saying do the whole thing, but definitely do some sections of that. So you can walk from Bondi down to Coogee, which is the most famous coastal walk, and that has been a very famous walk for a number of years. They've actually opened up the walking track now where it goes all the way around the harbour, all the way to the north side in Manly. The Bondi to Watsons Bay section is absolutely stunning, and it's not as busy as the Bondi to Coogee section, so would highly recommend either of those. The Watsons Bay to Rose Bay section is also stunning. It's through a national park, and we used to live in Rose Bay, so if you are in the area, make sure you check out Rose Bay. Super underrated. If you do go to Rose Bay, you can hire kayaks there to kayak around the harbour. We went out to Shark Island. It's a little bit further than we thought, in an inflatable kayak, which wasn't probably the smartest move, but yeah, you can rent kayaks there and paddle around. It's just a really cool experience, and there's not waves there, but yeah, be careful of wildlife. Just south of Sydney as well, I want to tie it into the Sydney area, is the Royal National Park. You may not have heard of this, but it's only like a 45-minute hour drive south, and it is beautiful. You can do the Royal Coast Track. I did that. I'll link to that video somewhere here. If you're into hiking, you can do like 30-40 kilometers, I believe it is, over a couple of days, or in one day if you want to push it. Some awesome places. So if you want to do some more research, just Google Royal National Park hikes. All Trails is a great place to start, and you can do some beautiful hiking down there. Okay, next on the list is the Central Coast, which I did not know about until I moved to Australia. My partner Rach lived there for a number of years, so we actually moved there for a period of time, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's really underrated, especially if you're from overseas like myself and you're coming to Australia. Sydney is the first point of call. The Central Coast is only an hour north of Sydney, hour and a half, and you have some stunning beaches. I'd recommend looking at Bondi National Park, Woollahra National Park. There are some beautiful coast tracks there, some great camping, and yeah, there's Terrigal, which is similar to Bondi in the Central Coast, and yeah, it's worth a weekend, or if you're on your big lap, stop off there before you go into Sydney. Or if you're leaving Sydney, make sure you stop off depending on where you're doing your lap. If you're coming to Australia for a road trip, you're leaving Sydney and driving to, say, Byron Bay, which is also New South Wales, then the Central Coast is a great stopping point because obviously you've just left the city, it's beautiful, and you have these vast landscapes to look at. And yeah, I'd add it to your list, at least have a look into it, because I think it's sometimes overlooked. So next up on our list is for anyone watching this video who's really into wine or going to wineries. We used to love going to wineries. We don't drink that much wine anymore, but one of the destinations I'd add to your list is Orange. And it's not just for wine, it produces really good wine, but there's lots of history there. So there is lots of history and awesome hikes. So Orange is actually quite a few of the country towns outside of Sydney as you go more inland in New South Wales. Quite a few of those more country towns have a lot of history, especially with gold mining, which is pretty exciting. So Orange is one of those towns. It is really quaint. The locals were so friendly, and you can go on a hike around the old gold mines. So if gold panning's your thing, maybe give that a go around that area. And yeah, Orange is really famous for its wines. I think it's red wines. But yeah, it's worth adding to your list and checking out. We stayed in an Airbnb out there. It does get colder as it's more inland, depending what time of year you go. If you want somewhere more local to Sydney, the Hunter Valley is really good as well, which is another wine region. Or if you want somewhere a bit further, you also have Mudgee, which is sort of a similar distance to Orange, a bit further on. But yeah, you have Orange, the Hunter Valley, or Mudgee, all beautiful wine regions. I haven't been to Mudgee. I have heard it's amazing. I've been to the Hunter a few times. Yeah, we stayed in some really cool accommodation there. So if wine tours are your thing, it's a must. If it's not, you can still do some awesome hiking, and awesome to go a bit inland, not just stick to the coastline in New South Wales. On our lap so far, we also went to Bathurst, which we really enjoyed. And yeah, we'll get into a couple of more places shortly. Number 2 on the list, this is getting exciting. So I know I said there wasn't an order, but I guess there kind of is, because number 2, which has been one of my favourite things on our lap so far, is Mount Kosciuszko National Park. If you're not familiar with Mount Kosciuszko, so it's the tallest mountain in Australia, and you can actually climb all the way to the highest mountain peak. We did that recently. There is a video on my channel. I'll link it somewhere here, probably at the top here. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's probably about a 5-6 hour drive from Sydney, so it's not actually that far in comparison with how large Australia is and how vast Australia is. You can go skiing there in the winter. I went skiing at Thredbo with some friends. I've also got that as a video. I'll link that somewhere up here or in the comments. And yeah, it's a beautiful ski resort. It's pretty expensive to go skiing there, but it's all relative. You're going skiing in Australia. It is actually really good skiing if you've got good snow there. There was snow on our hike to the summit, and it was a pretty reasonable climb in comparison to some other hikes. So yeah, Mount Kosciuszko is just absolutely beautiful. We mainly went camping there because we were on our lap, so we have our camper on the back of our ute. That's where we're sitting at the minute, but I'm sure you can book like a hotel or something if you want to stay in Jindabyne. That's like one of the hubs just outside of Mount Kosciuszko National Park. We camped there in the NRMA campground. Jindabyne was beautiful, the lake was stunning, and yeah, just a great place to go. Okay, number 1, drum roll please. Number 1 is the Blue Mountains. I mean, if you've followed the channel for any period of time, you'll know we absolutely love the Blue Mountains. Depending on where in Sydney you are, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours west of Sydney. Absolute must to add to your list if you're on the Big Lap. If you are here more for a holiday, or you're just here for a vacation, you can jump on the train from Sydney to Katoomba, I believe. You can stay there, you can go to the Three Sisters. That's probably a good starting point, which is like a viewing platform. There's also a hike around there. The Grand Canyon walking tracks, brilliant. That's like the next step up if you want to do something a bit different. And if you want to go more extreme, then the Fortress Ridge Trail, which we did, you'll need a car to get there. You can do it in a 2-wheel drive. We're happy to have a 4-wheel drive because it is gravel tracks to the start, but wow, is it beautiful. So it's a grade 5 hike. It is not for a beginner hiker. It's down a really steep descent, and then you go in a little pool, which is on the side of a 100-meter waterfall drop. Even talking about it, it sounds pretty serious, and it is, but it is absolutely stunning. We loved it. If you are an experienced hiker and you want a challenge and a bit of adventure, go to that one. Okay, so a couple of campgrounds. Blackheath Glen Reserve is a free camp. That was awesome. Get there early because it fills up. A bit like most free camps in the Blue Mountains, I think. And Dumfries Campground's another really good one. But yeah, if not, Booking.com, Airbnb, or the usual websites to book accommodation, you can do so that way as well. Cool, a few honourable mentions. Waterfall Way and Dorrigo National Park. That is stunning if you're in that area of New South Wales. Along with Sandbar, one of our favourite ever campsites was there. Port Stephens, great for wildlife. It's pretty famous. We saw dolphins in the port there. Okay, so that wraps up my top 5 places to visit in New South Wales. Hope you enjoyed the video. I definitely haven't been everywhere in New South Wales, so if you have any other recommendations, leave a comment below. And if you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe. We are currently traveling around Australia, so make sure you subscribe not to miss any episodes, and we will see you in the next video.